So this week I've been feeling annoyed, a little bit paranoid, a little bit freaked out, a little bit angered, and a little bit nauseous. Which usually means it's DAVOS season! Yes, it's that time of the year, folks, where all the world's creatures gather together. It's like an annual reunion of the most despicable humans on Earth. And I sadly use the term humans lightly. Now, while there were some interesting, hilarious moments, like President Trump confusing Greenland with Iceland, Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry were in attendance where Justin Trudeau gave a keynote address, even though our own Supreme Court has now confirmed that this guy is a wanted criminal, and French President Emmanuel Macron put on his famous Bono glasses to appear tough. He wanted to prove to the world that he's got Top Gun cojones, more so than his wife. But the real eye-opening capturing moment is what our Prime Minister Mark Carney addressed. And the fact that CTV News addresses it as the best speech by a world leader in a very long time, which compared to some people and leaders, finishing a complete sentence makes you intelligent. But it's actually more disturbing than you think it is. Take a listen for yourself.
This rupture calls for more than adaptation. It calls for honesty about the world as it is. We are taking the sign out of the window. We know the old order is not coming back. We shouldn't mourn it. Nostalgia is not a strategy. But we believe that from the fracture, we can build something bigger, better, stronger, more just. This is the task of the middle powers. The countries that have the most to lose from a world of fortresses and the most to gain from genuine cooperation.
So that was Prime Minister Mark Carney, a central banker who used to govern the Bank of England and the Bank of Canada, admitting that the rules-based order in which we have cooperated for the last 80 years has been a lie. All these global institutions, the structure in which countries are supposed to operate, how they're supposed to coordinate, how they're supposed to devise these agendas onto us, has been an absolute lie. And it's amazing that it took 2026 to finally admit this. Something that myself and majority of people have already came to realize. But here's what ultimately ticks me off. Because while people want to believe that somehow this is the New World Order bowing down and this is the end of the demise of globalism, it actually isn't. And that is the most infuriating part of this entire speech. It's not the fact that they finally admitted that they're corrupt liars, but the fact that nothing's going to change. So if this rules-based order is a fabrication, a lie, and people are well known of this, and you're finally admitting that we need to end this, does that mean things like the Ukraine war are going to end? Does this mean the idea of regime change wars is going to end? Does this mean transferring tax dollars into NGOs to micromanage other countries when we're struggling back here at home? Is that going to end? No, absolutely not. This is what's so infuriating about that speech. Because they know that they're liars, they know they corrupted, they know that they screwed us over, and yet they're going to continue it on. In fact, the only reason Mark Carney is even addressing this is because it's the passing of the baton. Globalism isn't going away, it's just changing ownership. It basically means that the days of yesteryear where everything was controlled by bankers is being passed over to technocrats. So instead of being dictated by people like Klaus Schwab, you're now going to be controlled by Larry Ellison, by Bill Gates, by Elon Musk, by Peter Thiel, by Alex Karp, by Palantir, and on and on. The New World Order is not ending. Globalism is not ending. This is basically like an updated version, which is exactly why the world right now is turned on its head. If you ever wonder why Donald Trump suddenly got interested in Venezuela and kidnapping Maduro or taking an interest in Greenland or why it's necessary, all these measures for national security to build this golden dome, well, take a look at this. This is an article from The Last American Vagabond, and shout out to them and Derek Bros for highlighting this because this is critical, folks. He describes and reports the Venezuelan technocracy connection, meaning that the kidnapping of Maduro and the seizing of Venezuelan oil is not particular to Trump and his administration, but is actually part of a larger agenda that's been going around for 80 years. And he highlights this map from the mid-40s, the 1940s, as the new technocratic state of Americas. You could see the capture spans from Greenland to Alaska, through Canada, through the United States, through Mexico, into South America, and right up to Venezuela. So it turns out it's not just Israel that have their fantastic Great Israel Project, we have it too! Which also plays into the idea of Trump's Golden Dome. Because it's not actually his idea, it's a technocratic idea. It's this technocratic feudalist state that they want to impose onto the population, where you're going to be monitored, surveilled, tracked, and traced. You're going to be censored. You're going to be decided whether or not you can have bank accounts, whether you can have access to certain things. You're going to have social credit scores. You're going to have digital IDs. I mean, think of it as like a futuristic Auschwitz, just with barcodes and drones. This was the whole game from the get-go. And if anyone's familiar with the likes of Curtis Yarvin, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Because he's one of the brilliant masterminds that came up with this idea. So did Elon Musk's grandfather. So do the most powerful Zionist influencers in the world. Because even they knew the traditional banking system was not going to last forever. That with new technology means there is more control. That's why they have to put everything into one application. They have to silence people. They have to ban social media. They don't want us to talk to each other as actual individuals, but instead strip us of our individuality and turn us into drones for personalized teams. Get everyone angry at each other, left versus right, the constant feud that keeps fueling the separation, the divide, the divisiveness in this country, while they're stripping your rights as a whole. And here's another article that pretty much sums it up. Trump at Davos, globalism is dead, but long live globalism. Exactly. They're still going to control you, they're still trying to manipulate you, they still want world domination over you. Nothing's changing except ownership. And trust me when I say that the technocratic system is far more extensive and sinister than the traditional New World Order. Because of the internet, because of our technology, because of AI, everything's become more instant, more rapid, and more global. Meaning that these freaks can do whatever they want at any point, at any time, to you. And it doesn't take as long as traditional New World Order. And what's even more crazy is this is also tied to the rise of Israel. Of course, Israel plays a huge factor into Western policies. A lot of our foreign policy is dictated by the hands of Israel through blackmail, deception, deprivery, which makes a great ally, by the way. But the reason for all this, to paraphrase what Professor Zhang has talked about, this is the new Pax Judaica, meaning that the world's central powers that used to be in places like Britain and America, these two dominant forces that have controlled us for the last 8 years, is going to be slowly transferred into Jerusalem. That is why the richest powerful entities on earth are putting their dollars into Israel. Not because they suddenly have a change of heart in Jewish people, maybe because they're psychotic, genocidal freaks, who knows. But the main reason is they're transferring the power away from the old into the new Pax Judaica in Jerusalem, which will house the central powers on earth. So don't be surprised if the next couple of years, the Davos meetings that usually are held in Switzerland end up in Jerusalem. Don't be surprised if more Israeli billionaires come onto TV in your country and start demanding that you don't have a right to free speech. It's happening, folks. They planned this out. They coordinated this out. Nothing's going to change except for the changing of hands. Mark Carney knows this, and yet he has the audacity to just openly admit that he's lied to everybody, that the world leaders, the people that were supposed to be champions of figuring out how to run our countries, have lied to you. And yet no justice will be done. That's what angers me the most.